On September 11th, 2001, I was proudly working for the Diocese of Greensburg as a feature editor. It was a Tuesday. Tuesday was production day for the Thursday's Catholic Accent. So I knew driving in there was a lot to write, a lot to produce, a lot to design. And when we arrived, that all changed on a dime. We heard that a flight went down, American Airlines Flight 11 hit the World Trade Center, Tower 1, the North Tower. Never, ever thinking that those planes, that this was a terrorist attack on America and where else we would end up that day. And then we heard about the Pentagon. That was at 9:37. An American Airlines Flight 77 hit the Pentagon. A coworker came out into the newsroom and said, like many parents did that day, she said, "I'm going to pick up my kids at school." And I thought, well, that's odd. Why is she leaving here at 10, after 10 in the morning? She said a plane went down in Stony Creek Township, Stoystown. I knew that we had to go. Something inside of me we had to go. We figured that it was probably connected. When we arrived, I noticed a KDK reporter, and they were interviewing someone, and I thought, well, he must be an eyewitness. So got out of the vehicle and interviewed Eric Peterson. Eric Peterson saw the plane. He just came off a night shift, had no idea what had happened in New York City and the Pentagon. And he saw a plane wobbling, out of control. He knew it was going to hit, he just didn't know what and when. So Eric heard the crash, saw the smoke, and he made his way on an ATV to that site. He said there was nothing left. The impact was so great that it was a hole in the ground, like maybe 15 feet and like 30 by 70, that it just plummeted into this abandoned coal mine. I still couldn't wrap my head around the fact that this was connected to the two planes that went into the World Trade Center and the Pentagon. And I kept asking the FBI, is this related? This flight that was left from Newark was hijacked in Cleveland and was supposed to arrive in San Francisco. I couldn't believe that happened in this small town, this small area.
Eventually, a terrorist group called Al-Qaeda and its leader, Osama bin Laden, claimed responsibility for the attacks, citing years of American interference in the politics of the Middle East. The United States launched a ferocious response, invading Afghanistan to forcibly remove the Taliban from power, a group who refused to hand over Osama bin Laden. And after a 10-year manhunt, bin Laden was killed by U.S. Special Forces who tracked him down in Pakistan.
Those days after, you learned about those heroes, those 40 heroes. We really got to know them through their families and the calls they made, that yes, this was real. This was terrorism in our backyard. And, you got to know those people through their families. Covering it, going there every day, it really was so close to home, and I'll just never forget. And I pray for those people all the time, their families. So many stories that we wrote were at that makeshift memorial, where I interviewed Nicole Miller, who was one of the youngest one on that flight that I mentioned. I interviewed her mother, Kathy Stefani, and her sister, Tiffany Miller. And her mother told me that she believes that her daughter would have fought for that, would have fought to stop that, to stop the hijackers. And she believes she had a hand in it. All the others, it's the same story. It's like they all came together to stop this, and they would have done anything to do that. I don't think we realized what we were covering at the time. I just knew that God gave us these gifts to write and take photos and do the best that we could, but I truly felt like I really gave it my level best to honor those individuals and tell their stories. When it's a bright sunny day and not a cloud in the sky and California-like weather, I always say it's a 9/11 day, and I say a prayer for those. I always think, I need to pray for them.